Last woman in line claims to be next. This was years ago and I still chuckle at her nerve and my I like to think quick response. We were waiting at Chick-fil-A. They were very busy and they had lines that were rather indistinct. Easily 20 people were in front of this woman. She had, without doubt, just walked it and was the last person in line. I was clearly up at the counter and the next person in line for this particular line, but there are other people waiting for their orders. Kids with parents. Said it wasn't exactly obvious who was next and who was served and waiting for their order. In Europe the clerk would have been rude to her. That you were definitely not the next. Edited the typo. I know Jesus said the first shall be last and the last shall be first. But I'm pretty sure he wasn't talking about the queues at a fast food restaurant. This should be your replay next time, grin. I can confirm that is not how we do things in Europe, winking face. Honestly, if queuing up in lines was an Olympic sport, the UK would win gold every time. I've literally seen queues start for absolutely nothing more than some random person stops somewhat near something that you may need to get in line for and people will start lining up behind them. No questions asked. Don't queue in Europe? Britain practically invented the queue. I assure you we queue over here and she would have got the same treatment also. Queuing is practically a religion in the UK. Edit I know we're still part of the continent I'm tired and meant the EU, which wasn't pertinent anyway. I used to have customers at a store I worked in try to butt in with I have a quick question. I'd look at them and say as soon as I'm done with his quick question, I can only help one person at a time, and I like to finish what I'm doing. I said, haven't invented lines in Europe yet, huh? This made me wheeze. Haha, you go op. I'm not familiar with the term stained glass voice. Could someone explain that term? That woman is a liar and an idiot. No one queues better than the Europeans. No one. Apparently I must be wearing my Klingon cloaking device again. Damn it, Jim. Some places in Europe, they have linked lists instead of queues. At the Boqueria in Barcelona, when there are people crowded around the stall you want to shop at, you call out qui est l'ultime? Who is last? Someone gives you the nod. You're now behind that person. That's all you know. When you hear someone say qui est l'ultime, you give that person the nod. If you give up and leave without pointing the person in front of you out to the person behind you, chaos ensues. I find that white women constantly step around or in front of me. Old, young, doesn't matter. I will said excuse me. Am I invisible? And you should see the color drain from their faces. Where do they get the audacity? At least once a week this happens to me. Oh, I didn't see you there, my hair is hot pink. I don't believe you didn't see me. They assume you'll just let it slide because others do. My wife and I went to Italy for the first time together in 2019. We were waiting in the customs line in Rome. It was our turn to show our passports to the Italian customs officer when an airline pilot skipped the entire line and tried to go ahead of us. The Italian officer was not at all amused and made him stand to the side until he was ready to talk to him. Tears of joy. Did everyone clap at the end? Just got back from Europe? Lady, that means you must have been here first. In order to be retuning from somewhere there. Lines didn't change while you were gone. You aren't next if you just walked through the door. I was in a store. There was one line for 2 registers. I was the second in line. A woman walked up and was trying to start a second line so she would be next. She even told her kids she was next and to go to the car. Before the cashier called next, the woman's kids locked her keys in the car. So she had to get out of line to deal with that. Lol. Oh my, I had the exact same thing happen in line at a candy store. A new register had opened and a man from the back of the line rushed forward. I made the same comment, "You're not next." The guy cursed at me and waited outside the store to beat the crap out of me. I had to call the cops and wait inside. He left before the police arrived. SMH. I am from Europe and she lied hard trying to act cool for traveling to Europe. Probably never went to Europe. Only in China people are rude and cut lines. I think you got your free drink for putting her in her place. Years ago my friend and I went into a fish chips shop after the pub. We got in line but people kept physically pushing us aside. Friend looks at me and says NY Subway and we proceeded to be first in line by doing what we used to do when people try to push past you to get on the train. Elbows lol. I despise people who don't respect the queue. And I also despise people who let people disrespect the queue. Get a backbone. As a bait and European I can most certainly say that we do queue. Queuing up is basically the only thing we do right. During an event opening, there was about a 40 minutes line which some part of the rope to keep the line wasn't closely packed. A family, 2 mid-age and 2 young adults, were slowly easing themselves towards the front. I just told them the end of the line back there while pointing far back. They looked slightly upset and embarrassed, then eased away towards the back. And then everyone started slow clapping and standing on their tabletops. Haven't invented lines in Europe yet, huh? Bahahaha. Best line ever. Well done. Good for you. That's not how it is in Europe, and definitely not in the UK. We bloody love to queue. She needed that. And yeah, my friend from Germany told me you have to be careful where you go. Lots of people there enjoy being nude in public. In parks. At beaches. Anywhere they can. So, yeah. But I never heard of a stained glass voice. What's that? I feel like the Chick-fil-A lines always get the most entitled people. Twice in the past month I've had cars completely skip the line and cut me off, ignoring the long line of people that were waiting to get into the drive-thru. Like, did you think we were sitting here for fun? I've been to Europe. That line would have been so well defined it would have been seen as a street on Google Earth. Open mouth smile. I thought about leaving a comment, but I'm tired of waiting in line. Heck yeah to free lemonade lemon cup with straw, yummy face. I'm just surprised everyone wasn't clapping. As a programmer I think she merely confused a queue with a stack. Lol. This reads like a shitty copypasta NGL. What a gem. We're not doing that in Europe. You can get beaten up if you try that. Why do Americans feel the need to excuse their behavior on Europe? As if we didn't act exactly like them on most of the things we do. She's right. They are called queues, not lines in your poi. In the UK, queuing properly is our national sport. More important than football. Her attitude wouldn't get her far here. To be fair, I just got back from Austria and those motherfuckers do not respect lines at all. Drove me insane. Something similar happened to me when I was standing in a very long line for an ATM booth. Just when I was about to get in and do my things. This lady, rich looking, got out of a car right in front of the ATM entrance and said, "I just have to do something quick and get out. And step in front of the line," which even went around the block. Get ahead of the next person and enter. The only thing I thought was, is this why I lay waste for hours? I don't know what part of Europe she visited, but in Greece she would have the whole store explain to her how she's actually last. Imagine that sort of behavior with the soup Nazi. The only times I've ever been really cut in line was high school, but I mean everyone there are just idiots till like S5 anyway. I do remember being cut in line at a Comic-Con and the dude scanning tickets just told her to wait. Her turn. I live in the UK BTW. That's how they do it in Europe is fucking hilarious. The British invented queuing. What is a stained glass voice? Yeah, I call those people deli jumpers and I can't stand them. Many a time I've been asked if I'm next and when I know I'm not, I point out the other person who was there before me. I will never deli jump. Even if it were true that that's how they do things in Europe, it's not. She's no longer in Europe. She knows she isn't in Europe and only went on holiday there. She wasn't so indoctrinated by her vacation that she can't reacclimatize to her own cultural ways of queuing. I had one of those last night. Grocery store had 2 lines open. I finally get there and this woman started standing in front of the customer service counter, smearing at me. I ignored her and kept putting groceries up. She came behind me finally and was looking at the cigarettes, asking the girl questions while she was ringing me up. Poor girl lost track of what she was ringing and I am like, you missed a water, let me grab it. Then another one was there. I guess in that store lines are only a suggestion if you are buying cigarettes. Oh, I just got back from Europe and that's how they do things there. No, it's not. I'm English and Brits will literally let everyone else in front of them before pushing their way to the front themselves. To be fair, there are non-queuing cultures in parts Europe, where getting to the teller is a survival of the fittest ordeal. If you try to wait your turn, you might spend the rest of your life doing so. But this person clearly knew what a line was. That is 100 how it's not done in Europe. Being on vacation makes you forget how things work in your home country. Who knew? In the UK we are born knowing how to queue tears of joy. Chill filla and horrible people. Why am I not surprised? Clapping hands, medium light skin tone, 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 clapping hands, medium light skin tone. Kudos to you, but don't you wish that the establishment would have organized itself better so it wasn't necessary for you and this woman to get into an altercation? Your story would be perfect except for those hate nuggets and lemonade tasted good. That's why I use click and collect. Order with phone. Trigger the order. And it's freshly ready once I get here so I can pick it up immediately and go back home. They would have shut her ass down all across Europe as well. You go, girl. Excellent. In NYC, cutting lines can be very dangerous. Way to go, op. I wish I could have been there. Gimme a milk, chocolate air, I mean lemonade. I'm European and I'm sure as hell we don't do these. I'm glad you spoke up to that entitled cunt. She's got a lot of nerve to pull shit like that. Even in Britain, they despise idiots who jump the queue. As someone who's worked service jobs like that, I have 100 ignored those kinds of people. And just take whoever is actually next. They'll moan about it. But I just claim I didn't say hear them. I'm from Germany. We line up. The Brits love it, even. I love that you out her in her place. I'm not sure where in Europe she visited, but it's a running joke about us English queuing. You've been watching Monty Python. And then I woke up and had an awesome day at work, feeling great about how assertive I was in my dreams. What is stained glass voice? I've never heard that phrase before. Yeah, I'm Eastern Europe. They're just starting to get the concept of personal space. They stood in line for hours for bread back in the day. There was zero space between people in the lines to keep PPL from skipping. She was being an entitled brat. There was a sketch on Dutch TV where the butcher says who's next and a person in the back goes, "Yeah, I'd like a pound of grind." Everybody turns around and stares. He goes, oh, I thought you all belonged together. I am not mad at some folks for living their life like a movie. Main character syndrome is real. Sparkling. There's cues in Europe. LMAO. What? In my country she might have even been judged harder.